Footwork Fight Talk here. Welcome back. So, today I want to share something that's kind of funny. So, not too long ago, I was watching this old movie, Rocky 3, right? And in the movie, they got Clubber Lang, Mr. T. You probably know this guy from, some of his later shows or commercials or something. Old guy with the mohawk, brother, right? So, the thought occurred to me when I was watching this old movie was that it came just a few years before Mike Tyson hit the scene. And as I kind of watched the movie, I started noticing some similarities between him, his style, his personality to Mike Tyson, who came along a few years later. So for those of you who don't know, Tyson was the freaking man back in the 1980s, right? He was as big as Michael Jordan. And I mean, he was just a huge star, just a sensation. And so as I was kind of looking through the movie, I started noticing some similarities. So that's what I want to talk about right now. So what I noticed about these two guys was that they both wore black trunks. That was kind of their main staple. And I believe Clubber wore black trunks in the second fight in that particular movie. So they had some kind of a similar style in terms of the trunks they wore. They both had like a weird little haircut. So just in case you didn't know, back in 1982, before Puff Daddy and before all of these other people came along, the mohawk really wasn't a thing that black folks was rocking with. Brothers didn't really get down with like the mohawk look. So it was really something that made Mr. T stand out back in the early 80s. And that's became his icon, his signature look. Now, he gave interviews later on about, the significance of the mohawk and how it represents some Native American tribes and that type of thing. And that's a whole nother discussion about the Native American link to Black Americans here in this country. But going back to that, the mohawk really wasn't the look that you're going to find on most brothers. Now, Mike, when he was coming up and he first hit the scene, he had some pretty jacked up haircuts. But his signature look back in like the early 80s and when he started winning titles and stuff like that was like a box cut, or box face. So pretty much hair on top and a skin fade on the sides and in the back or whatever. So you basically had this hair and bald head combination type of thing going on with both of them. So they both looked a little bit similar in that way, right? So another point is that both of them, their styles were very similar. They almost never threw like a straight punch or a jab. And that's one of the things that was so different about Mike Tyson is that he threw almost all hooks, right hooks, left hooks. Even his uppercuts had a hooking motion to it. He was always hooking all the time. Now, for those of you who don't really know much about boxing, a hook is like an arcing punch. It takes longer to get from point A to point B rather than a straight punch. And in boxing, they teach you that the direct route to reach your opponent is a straight line. That's a jab, straight right hand, and other straight punches. Okay? So up until that time, you almost never seen anybody in real boxing and pro boxing throw all hooks. And Mike was killing people with this. And it was amazing that, he was going up against these tall guys that can throw straight punches at him, make them miss, but then catch him with these wide arcing power punches. I mean, he threw almost all power punches. And that's one of the things that really made Mike so explosive and exciting to watch, was that he was a hooker all the time. And so was Clubber Lang. So Clubber Lang was this guy that just came in, and he was like something off of a video game. He just came in and he just threw all hooks. And so as a result, the movie character Clubber Lang, he got all knockouts in the movie on his way to get his first title shot with Balboa, right? And so the same thing was pretty much true with Mike Tyson. He threw all hooks and he got almost all knockouts on his way to the title. Okay, so again, very similar in terms of just narrating. If you was going to make a movie with a mythical character, that this guy Clubber Lang and Mike Tyson threw all hooks, and they knocked out almost everybody that they faced inside the ring. But of course, Clubber did, but Mike knocked almost everyone out on his way to his title shot. And when they both get their title shots, they get second round knockouts to win the title. So if you recall in the movie, and I know most of you who are listening to this don't know nothing about Rocky 3, so you can probably YouTube it or whatever. But bottom line is this, is that in that movie, which Rocky 3 was huge now, back in 1982, they both won the titles. Mike won his first title by second round KO, and Clubber Lang won his first title by KO when he knocked out Rocky. All right? This is weird, I know, so just don't laugh. I'm serious. This is not where the similarities end, right? So both of them, during their title reigns, on their way up to the title, they talked a lot of stuff. They were very intimidating, and they used intimidation as a weapon to give them an advantage over their opponents. So you notice that Mr. T talked a lot of stuff, and he backed it up. And Mike, he didn't talk as much stuff, but he did play a lot of mind games with his opponents, and he instilled fear in them to kind of dampen their performance when they stepped in the ring. So they both use intimidation. And if you notice, they both kind of had similar body types. They were both like mesomorph, kind of bodybuilder types almost, heavily muscled, big necks. And, they used their strength and their power to overwhelm their opponents. So they had similar body styles. And then last but not least, they both lost their titles by knockout. So if you notice that Clubber Lang lost his title by knockout in the movie, Mike Tyson lost his title by knockout when he lost to Buster Douglas. So this is just something kind of fun to talk about, for those of you who remember the movie and you remember the glory days of Mike Tyson. So that's just a little something from Footwork Fight Talk. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and we out of here.